Welcome to the Healing Dreams Project, exploring projective dream work for your health and wholeness, with hosts Billie Ortiz and Dr. Royce. I am the producer, Viviana, and today we have a special guest, Sharyn Campbell. She has called in her dream, and I just want to share a few words about Sharyn. She has been engaged with DreamWork for almost 7 years, both one-to-one and in a group setting. She values the projective DreamWork method and was happy to find the Healing Dreams Project. In 2022, she trained with Billie Ortiz's Rocky Mountain Institute for Projective Dreamwork. She has also completed death doula training and hopes to pursue that as a second career later this year. Welcome, Sharyn. It's so nice to have you. And thank you so much for calling in your dream.
Oh, you're welcome. I've meant to call it in for several months, so finally something spurred me to do so. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
So when did you have this dream?
Yeah, let me look that up. I know it was in the fall. Early September. I recorded it September 2nd, so probably that morning.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press play on Sharyn's dream. Here we go.
This is Sharyn. My dream is titled Purple Bugs or Paint or Something Else. I expel something, a cough or a sneeze, in the direction of a screen door. Right after the sneeze, lots of little things rush to the sneeze droplets on the other side of the screen. Are they insects of some type? The rushing is immediate, like metal shavings to a magnet. I see my cat, it might be Dusty, writhing on the floor on her back. Whatever these things are, they are on her too, her back and sides. I don't know that she is in pain, it's not clear. I pick her up and examine her. She is alert. I see that the purple things are like very small bits of paint, like the waste from a spray paint job, not insects. I calm down a bit when I notice this. It seems she will be okay.
Interesting.
Sharyn, do you have that dream in print in front of you as well?
I do, yes.
I know at the very beginning it's hard to hear the right words, and I know you're, as I listen, I know you're trying to enunciate every word, which I appreciate, but somehow sometimes it kind of blended together for me.
So do you need me to clarify some of the information at the beginning?
Well, is it okay if we have her read it? Go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super short, and we can always use another read.
So Purple Bugs or Paint is the dream, September 2nd, 2022. I expel something, a cough or a sneeze, in the direction of a screen door. Right after the sneeze, lots of little things rush to the sneeze droplets on the other side of the screen. Are they insects of some type? The rushing is immediate, like metal shavings to a magnet. I see my cat, it might be Dusty, writhing on the floor on her back. Whatever these things are, they are on her too, her back and sides. I don't know that she's in pain, it's not clear. I pick her up and examine her, she is alert. I see that the purple things are like very small bits of paint, like the waste from a spray paint job, not insects. I calm down a bit when I notice this. It seems she will be okay. End of dream.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a house that I know in the waking world?
So I think it's reminiscent of two screen doors. I know the screen door, it seems to me it's facing the back of whatever this house is. And it reminds me of either the screen door of the house I grew up in or the screen door of my former in-laws. But it doesn't seem like it's either one of those doors. It's just familiar to both of them. So it's got the top part is a screen, and then there's sort of the bottom, maybe third of the door that's kind of metal. Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Oh,
sorry.
No, go ahead, Royce.
Well, so it's a question and a kind of it's a projective question. How's that? I'm kind of experiencing the door as a blend of both doors, you know, my childhood and also my former in-laws door. So, well, I guess it's not a question. I'm just making a projective statement.
Yeah, and I would say on the other side of the door, the far side, so the outside, I think it's dark out. I don't mention that in the dream reading, but as I was thinking about this dream earlier today, it occurred to me that I think it's nighttime.
I think it's always good to kind of pull those little details out, because sometimes when we tell a dream, we don't think about that. We just assume that, and yet the details, you know, we made the dream somehow, and the details are crucial.
So my question was that I say as the dreamer that I cough or I sneeze and I say expel something, but then all that happens on the opposite side of the door, right?
Yes.
So
it's almost like the screen serves as a barrier of some sort. So these things, when I cough or sneeze, these things rush to the door, but they seem like they're stopped by the screen, like they kind of cling to it. And yet the cat who's on the inside of the door with me, she ends up with some of them on her. So the screen must have let some through, or something.
So what I cough, I don't see. The droplets that I cough, I don't really see. However, assuming in dream logic, some of them adhere to the screen. And soon as they do, these little particles come and attach.
Seems like, yes, that's a good description. It seems like there's a connection between me expelling, and you're right, Royce, I don't see any, you know, small droplets from that. But there seems to be a connection between me expelling a cough or a sneeze and the reaction of these little purple things.
Which I determine later in the dream are bits of paint.
They look like bits of paint. I don't think I ever figure out. So after my dream, I like to record images related to my dreams. I record my dreams in an electronic journal. And I often go online to just try to find an image. And the best image I could find was sort of residue from a spray paint job that was purple. But I don't think in the dream I ever really know what these things are. I just seem to deduce that since the cat seems to be okay, that they aren't harmful. But I don't know that I ever figure out what they are. Another thing I could liken them to is I saw an image in a catalog of a starry night sky. So I assume it was taken with kind of a time-lapse camera. So it's a dark sky in British Columbia with all these beautiful purple stars. And well, they look like purple stars. So I'm going to pull up. So here's the image. So this is kind of a little cabin, if you will, over here. And then this is the sky. So there's this darkness with all these just minuscule little purple things behind it. So that's another image. As soon as I saw that image in a catalog, I thought, oh, that kind of reminds me of this dream.
Wow. It's just so curious, though. It's just such you know, it's like, first I think they're bugs, and then I say, well, it's sort of like metal shavings to a magnet. Then I notice my cat has them on the back and sides.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly I'm no longer alarmed, but in the beginning, am I more alarmed about it?
I don't think I'm alarmed. It's just unexpected. I guess I think my initial reaction is, oh, whatever this is rushed to the screen, but the screen stopped it. So I'm protected. But then when I look down at my feet and I see the cat reacting, I realize some of them got through. And I'm worried. Then I think I become a little bit alarmed. And yet when I pick her up and the more I look at her, it seems like she's okay. So in the reading, I think I used the word writhing, WRITHING, but
writhing.
Yeah, that might be too negative she's reacting to them. But as I reread the dream before this recording, I thought, well, I can't really tell that reaction is negative. I mean, maybe she's enjoying, maybe it's some form of energy or something that she's kind of reacting to in a positive way. So, I seem to calm down once I examine her a little bit. So I would say initially it's, oh, I'm protected by the screen. Then there's a sense of alarm as I notice that she's been impacted. And then as I look at her closer, I realize she's okay. And then the alarm kind of dissipates.
So for the millions of viewers on YouTube, you'll notice that Sharyn has a background of a time-lapse photography of the stars, and then she did hold up her phone with the other one. So this dream is a wonderful example of how a small dream, a short dream, can have so much to unpack. And I'm just kind of in awe of this unpacking that we're doing, and because we're looking at every element in the dream as something there for a purpose, for the dream to come to me for my health and wholeness. And speaking of health, it's like, okay, is there a health message in this dream for me? I cough. I don't usually cough other than just to kind of clear my throat. But, with COVID in the world, we've gotten extra paranoid. And then these particles just kind of adhere to the screen, and then you get on my cat. So I'm just fascinated by this kind of ongoing dialogue or conversation that I'm having in the dream with these elements.
Right.
Tell us about Dusty, the cat, like her personality. And
yeah, so Dusty came into my life in late 2020. She had been abandoned by her prior owner and was rescued by someone who does cat rescues. And I found out about her on the Nextdoor app and arranged to adopt her in December of 2020. So she actually, she was euthanized about 6 weeks maybe after this dream. So her health was, at the time of this dream, her health was failing. She was in kidney failure. She was on a variety of medications, special food. So I knew her time was winding down. She had no teeth. She was an older cat. So due to her outdoor living environment, all of her teeth, when I adopted her, what she had left, those needed to be pulled. But she was a little feisty when I adopted her. but you know, you and a pet learn to accommodate each other. She was I had moved during the time that I had her, and she was a good little traveler. She flew on an airplane with, you know, no ill effects. Mm. She was elderly, so she was quiet. She was affectionate. She was not real mobile. I mean, she was just a very slow mover because I think her joints and stuff were also kind of wearing down. So that's a little bit about Dusty's history. She was gray, hence her name. I did not name her, the rescuer did, but I thought the name was appropriate, so I let it stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
in the recording, go ahead, Billy.
In the dream, do I realize that Dusty is dead now, or do I think of it doesn't seem odd that Dusty's there?
Well, so the dream was before her euthanasia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about 6 weeks before. And I wouldn't, you know, I knew her health was failing, but I didn't know if it was 4 weeks away, 4 months away.
Right.
So I wouldn't have known that within 6 weeks that she would necessarily be euthanized.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the dream, she just seems like the Dusty that I've always known. Okay. And I only had her less than 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I could just jump in real quick. And I'm just, I love that this dream is about a cat. I'm a cat woman. And if this were my dream, it's my cat speaking to me. And I love that I coughed or sneezed. It's like something had to come out. So for me to pay attention to it. And even though at first it seemed that I was protected, and then it was purple and it was and I was alarmed that my cat was may have gotten infected by whatever this purple stuff was.
Yeah.
If the purple, if it were my dream, is a super spiritual color. I think it's the color of the crown chakra, a cobalt blue, sort of royal. It's also a royal color. Only the kings and queens were allowed to wear purple. So it's a part of me that is deeply, deeply spiritual. The queen part of me has almost maybe entered a new realm of her queenship, and this higher realm, a very, very spiritual understanding, spiritual authority, spiritual beauty. It's like entering a new realm. And the fact that at first I'm worried for my cat, but then I realize it's okay, it's fine. And it's an opportunity to realize that my spirituality has entered this new realm, and if I just trust it, it will lead me down the right path. There's no need to fear.
Oh, wow.
There's no need to be alarmed. My higher self, my higher being, my royal being has everything under control. And even Dusty, who left my world 6 weeks later, it's almost like a message from Dusty reinforcing that everything will be fine. I just have to trust me.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate those comments. That definitely resonates, because I would say late last year, just due to some transitional issues in my life, I did decide that I need to sort of focus more on my intuition and kind of my gut reaction, obviously my dream work and the guidance that comes through those. And so that definitely resonates, because I would say it was probably a month or 2 after this dream, or maybe even 3, that I really thought I need to kind of embrace trusting my own guidance system. Yeah. So thank you, Viviana.
That's great. Go ahead, Royce.
I appreciate Viviana's projections. that I felt myself gaining some kind of new level of awareness in relation to this dream. And there's especially with the color purple, especially with the kitty. And by the way, I'm moderately to severely allergic to cats, so it would not shock me to sneeze or cough around a cat. And I enjoy cats, and they seem to like me, but we can't touch. And and here in this dream, I'm picking the kitty up, picking Dusty up. At least I think it's Dusty. I think I heard the dreamer say, those words. I think it's Dusty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think when I wrote the dream, for whatever reason, I recorded it as it might be Dusty, but I don't know. I guess when I revisited the dream, I felt pretty certain it was, because the image of the cat that I still have in my mind from the dream is her. It's her color, it's her shape.
Yeah.
So this is a place that I find very fascinating in this dream and in other dreams, is because if I wanted this to be exactly Dusty, assuming I create the dream, right, I would have clearly created Dusty. However, I think this is Dusty as I record the dream.
Yeah.
And so the variation of this for me and my dream is very on purpose. And as Viviana shared, Dusty is kind of preparing me, and perhaps preparing Dusty himself, herself, whatever, for death and for transition and for change. And so this is a kind of a moment of me noticing the transformation. And also because in my dream, every aspect of the dream is a part of me. So that, I can take, let's take a literal thread. This is Dusty. For me, the metaphorical and symbolic thread also is Dusty is representing a part of me that is changing and is transforming. And in Dusty's world, 6 weeks or so, Dusty will no longer be here. And for me, at some level, I knew that this is going to happen at some point. And somehow that is inviting me to be aware of things I'm doing for myself that are transformative, and also things that are simply swirling around me in my own ethernet, in my own psyche, in my own sense of self, that I'm not consciously aware of, that is also changing me. I'm transforming. So this beautiful kind of circular experience is happening in my dream and in my waking life. The purple, I love particles. It is easy for me to always reflect on how the molecules that we don't see are in some ways being nudged, influenced by our energies, our actions, and how we are being affected by those nudges and actions. And so suddenly these beautiful particles adhere to Dusty, like stardust. There, I got a goosebump. Stardust. Stardust. And in fact, one of the pictures I saw as I was sharing is like, stardust. And stardust adhering to the screen. And the screen comes in and touches Dusty. I'm not the screen, but the particles. It's like, So this is a very expansive journey that I'm on, and that Dusty is also showing me.
Yeah, no, I Viviana also commented on the color purple, and certainly a lot of what both of you have said regarding the color resonates. And I do kind of like the idea of Dusty kind of wriggling in this, you know, whatever these things are. I'm initially worried that she's in pain, but as I ponder this more and work the dream with you all, I wonder more if she's kind of enraptured by whatever these particles have to offer her, you know, that she's sort of soaking it up and almost rolling in it the way, you know, sometimes a dog or even a cat will sometimes roll in grass or other things.
Yeah.
But,
as they must. Yes.
Yeah. I think maybe she's kind of energized by it in some way.
Yeah.
So I just have a great projection. I'm a death doula. At least that's my goal. That's where my heart is. And I'm going to be training to be more specific on this. And here, this whole dream is about transformation and death, and death that is healing, death that is transformative. This just feels very powerful.
Yeah, and I think Royce, you mentioned Stardust, and one of Dusty's many nicknames was Angel Dust. You know, so yeah, I sort of wonder if Angel Dust plays a role here as well.
Well, I just see the angel dust that's circling you. For those of you who are watching this, I mean, you pointed the purple version of what you have, the screenshot that you have behind you. But this, it almost looks like an aura that you're sitting in this aura of angel dust, of what is Stardust. I loved that from Royce, Stardust. So yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. I keep thinking about the story of Dusty and how incredibly compassionate I, as the dreamer, was to adopt Dusty, taking her on, knowing she didn't have too many years left, maybe months, who knows. So there's in my version, there's also Dusty representing a version of unconditional love and compassion. And is that part of the health and wholeness of the dream, is to remind me that Dusty was an example of how deeply I, as the dreamer, can feel and adopt some, because adopting any pet, we know their lives are always so much shorter than ours. So it's never going to, we know we're going to have to face that at some point, but to adopt a pet that's already in the later stages of life shows me, if it were my dream, Dusty represents that incredible sense of unconditional love and compassion.
It's really beautiful, Billie. And as a death doula, I'm called to be alongside in the process, alongside of the dying, alongside of the loved ones. And this dream so expresses that. Dusty is there and dying. I'm there, and in my own existential sense, I know I'm dying too. And we have a deal, you know, to be each other's advocate, to be called to be on one side. So I'm going to slip into some of my own background in my Christian trainings. When Jesus was in, at least as the legends and the metaphor, the Jesus story goes, after Easter, you know, after he was raised, and he was getting ready to leave, you know, for good-ish, and so people were worried and scared, and you know, the normal feeling of abandonment. And Jesus said, as I leave, I am calling forth a paraclete. The Greek means one who is called to your side, who will be there by your side, who will advocate, who will clarify, who will comfort. And that is another translation for the word paraclete, is I will send you another comforter. Okay, so, you know, the beautiful metaphorical images of that are giving me goosebumps as I'm thinking about this dream. And in a sense, in the beautiful symbolism of Dusty, the literal Dusty and the symbolic Dusty is he is my comforter as I am about to embark in this amazing journey of being with and being comforting to others as they are making their path through death. You are a paraclete.
Yeah, there's lots of terms for it, but I hadn't come across that word before. So is it Paracleet?
Yeah, don't ask me to spell that. Yeah, Google, the word comforter, Holy Spirit, etc.,
Okay.
as Jesus was being transformed. And so it's beautiful imagery.
Right.
Yeah.
I could just touch on the animals in this dream. The insects sort of are the first to pop to mind, and they come with a certain sense of fear, and maybe it's something that's like fear that's crawling in my head. Might be maybe anxieties, negative thoughts, or things that might be stuck inside there. And I also think of insects as representative also of transformation, in that many of them start as larvae and then they build their cocoon and then they come out something else, and quite often very spectacularly so.
Yeah.
The insects in the dream first, I fear that they might be insects. And then I'm calmed at the end to see that it's actually paint and not insects. And there's a very definitive statement, not insects. So I see that again as a wonderful opportunity to make sure that when I do have these fears, anxieties, things that tend to haunt me, that I lay them down and I transform them, maybe purposely, maybe just consciously transform them into the higher realms, transform them into the beautiful butterfly or the moth, or send them on a different path so that it doesn't eat me away with the fears and maybe stop me from doing something that I'm actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I like that. My takeaway from what Viviana just shared is, yeah, our initial reactions are not always the appropriate ones. And yeah, if we're in a period of change and transition, anything sort of different that comes at us, which is kind of what whatever these are, it feels like they're coming at me as they approach this screen. But right, then upon further reflection, fortunately, I don't react really negatively. I just sort of wait for this to play out. And yeah, upon further reflection, I realize that they aren't harmless. And even now, upon reflecting on the dream, I realize maybe they're actually helping Dusty in some way. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the other animal in the dream is the cat part of me. The cat is a regal animal, at least in astrology, the lion, and a creative emblem, and also super intuitive, and warm and fuzzy and cuddly and writhing. And it's that part of me that I need to maybe listen to a little more and incorporate and really feel into in my days.
Yeah, that resonates too, in that sometimes our days can be very busy and we don't really allow ourselves enough sort of downtime or just time to think, to ponder. And, maybe what Dusty represents is an older cat who wasn't real mobile. It wasn't doing a lot of things anymore. She she represented a more relaxed time, you know, maybe I could learn some things from her in terms of how I spend a certain number of hours of my day anyway. That they don't all have to be, not every hour has to be packed with doing something. Yeah, there's something to be said for just being. Yeah. And really cats of any age demonstrate that.
They do. And that whole sense of being, again, as I'm moving into being a death doula, that is my gift, is to be, how to be, and how to symbolically hold others as they are being, dying, as they are being reborn. Yeah, that's a beautiful image. What am I doing in the kitchen? Is that where I am in the dream?
I just have a sense of sort of a small hallway with this door, this screen door at the end. So it's almost like a back hallway of a house. Nothing fancy. It's not wide. Just sort of an exit hallway.
Kind of like a pathway.
Yes.
To the beyond.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like I know I've heard Billie talk about thresholds. Yeah, there is a sense of a threshold about it, I guess. Because I know this door leads to the outside.
So if this screen door is a blend of my childhood door and also my former in-laws door, and then the word threshold comes to me, how this too represents my transitions, my changing, and also the goosebumpy thing is, however I do this, these little purple flecks are there. They just come, and they seem to support my continued growth. They identify. Oh, I know where I'm going with this, is that in the Jeremy world, as we've referred to several times, when we are changing and growing, in the literal and or symbolic or metaphorical understanding of who's out there in the afterlife, that these beings grow too, that they get excited and they come rushing forth. And here these particles, purple particles, ancestral energies perhaps, that are like adhering, and it's like, go Sharyn, we're growing, help us and we'll help you. We have the circle, that we see behind you in your graphic, the circle of life, the circle of energy, the circle of change and compassion and growth.
Yeah, I love that idea, Royce, of the either ancestral energies or sometimes the term spirit guides. All of that resonates in terms of, as we kind of become more ready and start to listen more, again, getting back to the intuition we touched on earlier, that they get excited because they do want to help us move forward. And we just need to tune in, and once they sense that we are, they like that. Are there any thoughts on, it occurs to me that, since this all kind of is initiated by a cough or a sneeze, and we now know, from our COVID education, that whenever we cough or sneeze, there's these little small particles that none of us really knew were around before, that we're now very aware of now, that can be dispelled. But since there seems to be a direct connection between the cough or the sneeze and these particles reacting, and I know someone mentioned earlier there's an expelling that's taking place. Very coordinated, Royce. It matches your sweater.
Yeah,
yeah, I guess I'm just sort of wondering, since these particles are sort of microscopic or minuscule, moisture particles, I guess, and then there's this purple substance reaction to them. Just, does anyone have any thoughts on what the expelling and why the attraction to what's expelled?
Yeah.
Since it all seems, the dream sort of starts with that. If it hadn't been for the cough or the sneeze, I guess it also occurs to me, if it hadn't been for the cough or the sneeze, these particles might be there, but I'm not sure I would have seen them. They seem to attach to whatever this cough or sneeze is. So like, any thoughts on what the connection is there?
See, at first I thought that the particles were what I expelled, but then later, after hearing so much of the descriptions and more clarification, it's that I expel droplets that attract the particles. So in my version, that's something, I think it's something that I have within me, that I have, that is, it's going to be a surprise, just like a cough or a sneeze is often a surprise.
Right.
Something that will be something that I have within me that I'm not familiar with yet. But the dream is trying to get my attention to have this whole little scenario with the weird little droplets. And first I think they're bugs, and then then they're on the cat. And it's like, what is this stuff? And then I'm like, oh no, maybe it's paint. So it's almost like it had to transform over that time. But I remember the dreamer saying it's unexpected.
Yeah.
And whenever anything is unexpected or surprising in a dream, it's one of the places we can say always represents, I have reached the boundary of my known consciousness. I've reached the boundary of what I know, the known world that I know now. So the dream is giving me an example of what's available past that. You know, I'm not surprised when I go out into my backyard, because it looks just like my backyard's always looked, you know, unless there's something out there that I didn't expect, you know, a bobcat or something. But so a lot of times the dreams have to bring in something unexpected in a very familiar setting to make me realize that I have more ability than maybe I'm familiar with, or giving myself credit for now. So to add to that, the thing that's just, I keep hearing in my head is, I would count on Dusty as being a guide between the thresholds. As I continue my work as the dreamer, the more often that I'm working with the unseen world, it's always good to have allies. It's always good. And I would think that I made a huge friend and companion. Deep love was transmitted between Dusty and I, because Dusty needed me when I came along, and poor Dusty was abandoned by her owner, and the poor thing, she didn't even have any teeth, so I had to feed her and special food and everything. And that's how you make a forever friend on the other side. So Dusty's there. Dusty in my version is announcing, hey, even though this was 6 weeks before the euthanasia, it's like, hello, I'm with you. I'm here. I'm your partner. And Dusty, I've got the same kind of abilities to attract these unseen things in the other world.
Right.
And they may not be able to be defined. That's another thing. They're not definable. It's like, what are they? I'm trying so hard to figure out what they are. I thought they were bugs, but wait, no, they could be metal shavings. And no, wait, no, they're pieces of paint. So it's like, so there's surprising. My projection is, as I continue as Sharyn into this work, the deeper I go, the more surprised I'll be, but always bring an ally along.
Right. Yeah, that's helpful, because I've just been surprised since Dusty and I weren't together all that long, because I've had other cats that that have passed away that I had for a much longer period.
Right.
I've been surprised at how much I missed her and how much I still miss her.
Yeah.
And I do have another cat that I took in about a week before she was euthanized. And he's very different. He's young, he's less than 2, he has a lot of energy. But I really miss the calmness of Dusty, the fact that as an older cat, she spent most of her day sleeping, and it was easy to just go find her whenever I wanted to give her a few pets or say hello. She wasn't real demanding. She had certain needs, of course, but she just kind of waited for me to remember to feed her, remember to do this, or remember to do that. She was could go with the flow. And yeah, this new cat is just a lot more demanding. So I guess a lot of what resonates from what Billie said is, yeah, that she does sort of feel like she's still a partner in some way, or in some ways. Yeah.
I almost feel that Dusty's coming through Billie right now as Billie's overcoming her hairball.
Really, I even had to put the mute button on my.
But it's real Dusty. Whenever it's dusty, we tend to sneeze, we tend to cough, just in general, right?
That's right.
And here's Billie having a cough attack while we're talking about Dusty. So
I like that.
she's here, she's with us, she's still present.
That's funny. That is so good. Yeah, because it came out of nowhere. I was doing just fine, and I have water and everything. The water wasn't even helping.
Billie is channeling Dusty.
Well, stranger things have happened.
Well, we get surprised by the energies, the mysterious energies. Something that spoke to me as Billie was sharing about the cough, not her coughing, but about Sharyn's cough in the dream, is I loved how this was said when we don't know, when we are ready to know something about ourselves. How did you say that, Billie? Like the coughing was something I didn't know about myself, and now I'm knowing more about myself. How did you say that?
It's a surprise.
She said,
yeah, go ahead.
What? Go ahead.
I'm just quoting her because I took notes at that point. A surprise means that I have reached the boundary of the known world as I know now.
Yes.
That's quoting Billie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thus saith Billie. Verily, verily, Billie say unto thee, us. And okay, so there's another piece in this for me about my expelling air. So in the ancient Hebrew tradition of God, one of the symbols of God is the ruach, the breath or the wind of God. And so in this dream, this beautiful dream of expressing a calling for life and death and life and Dusty and our own coughing, the breath of God is being expelled. And that's a part of me that I'm becoming more familiar with in my dream, in my body, in my lungs. I am the breath of God.
Well, and that reminds me of, what we sometimes say to each other when we sneeze, which is bless you or God bless you.
Yeah.
Another kind of connection, to what we comfort each other with when a sneeze happens. Yeah, I feel like Dusty, the way she kind of wriggles around in this purple stuff, the more I reflect on that, the more I see it as she's kind of enjoying it. And I think it's kind of, the dream is maybe inviting me to say, when you encounter, maybe this dream is kind of preparing me for something that's coming. And when you encounter whatever this purple stuff represents, like, lean into it. Let it cover you, let it embrace you, let it land on you. It will help you. It's not going to hurt you. And I guess as I reflected on the dream, it's not clear in the dream whether since the stuff got through the screen and got onto Dusty, and I end up sort of focused on her reaction to it, I don't know that in the dream I ever really look at myself. Like, is it on my pants? Is it on my shoulders? Is it on my hands? Does it get on me? But I don't think I ever really examine myself. So I find that kind of curious that,
Right.
I don't know, you know, I don't know the answer to that. So, but I'm kind of curious about it.
Hmm.
As you're speaking about how purple might be something to take a closer look at now, I can't help but see the reflection of your glasses that you're seeing through right now, and it has this purple tint on it.
Yeah.
So it's just a double reminder of seeing purple, the
Right.
importance of seeing purple.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
I like that as a title, The Importance of Seeing Purple.
I do too.
Yeah, that's great.
This is a slight shift, and I simply need to lift this up, and because it, I think, was for all of us a kind of an immediate wonder. I know it was for me in my dream. When I cough, is that something that I need to be concerned about? Do I need to pay attention to my lungs physically? Do I need to, is there anything that I'm not aware of or that I am aware of that may have a medical concern?
Right. Yeah, a health component to it. Yeah, I
Mhm.
do have my annual physical coming up next month, so I'll definitely give that some
Well,
thought.
just know that I know more intuitively than perhaps the medical professionals do.
Right,
Not
right.
to not to diss them
No,
by
no,
any means. I need to be an advocate for my own breath.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I appreciate that.
So is there anything else you want to look at with your dream, Sharyn, or does this feel like a good place to bring it to an arbitrary close?
I'm just going to glance at it here one more time. Yeah, I feel like we've touched on all sort of the curiosities that I had about it. I think we've hit the main points. It wasn't an exceedingly long dream, so yeah.
Well, as you know, we can go a long time on what's
I
seemingly
know.
short dream. They have a lot in them. They're packed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I would just say if it were my dream, there's another piece about the screen door. It could have been any type of door, but it was
True.
a screen door. So I'm wondering what it is I'm being invited to screen out or to allow, because whenever we work with the invisible realm, we can't let everything in all at once. And I'm sure part of your training has mentioned this about being discernment about what energies I allow in or don't.
Right.
So if it were my dream, that's why it had to be a screen door. And it's also related to family. So however I want to take that, it's related to my family of origin and then, but also related to, in some ways, to my ex-in-laws. So, so there's some family, because the door is a blend between both of those doors that I remember.
Yeah, and it occurs to me that, you know, it could have been a storm door and not a screen door. And so the
Right.
storm door would have given you visibility, but still sort of full protection from the elements. But a screen door allows the air to flow. And so that gets back to some of the comments that Royce had about what was the Hebrew term, Royce, for breath?
Ruach.
Ruach.
Say that.
So I like, yeah, I think the fact that it's a screen door, which allows you visibility to the outside that a typical solid door would not, but then also has this screen component, which has maybe a filter of sorts or allows the air to pass. I mean, the main reason for a screen is it allows the air to pass through.
Well, it did allow
obviously some of these little objects, whatever
right.
they are, it allows some of them to pass through as well. Yeah.
So it had to be out. Great.
Yeah.
Interesting dream. It's so different than a lot of dreams. It's just unusual in a lot of ways.
Well, I wanted to toss it to you all because I've sat on it for months and really didn't have a lot of insights on my own. And of course, you all know I appreciate projective dream work. So I figured that we would make some progress with it today, and we have. So thank you.
Great. Well, thanks again.
What are a couple things that stand out today? I liked that the dreamer said, I've been setting with this for months and been puzzled. Yeah. So what are a couple that stand out?
I think the concept of air and breath, and a little bit more about, how all that plays into it. The fact that there's a cough or a sneeze, and then what we just talked about with the door being a screen door and what that might mean. So that's definitely given me something to work with. I have more thoughts on the color purple, so I certainly was intrigued by that and felt that it probably had a positive sense to it, but several of you've commented on that. A couple of you've commented on that, so that's been helpful. And I don't know. I guess those are the top two things that kind of come to mind. Yeah. I'd say I'm walking away from this with more comfort than it wasn't a dream that left me with a bad feeling, just a lot of confusion. So I would say I'm coming away from this conversation with a little bit more confidence that the dream, as Jeremy would say, the dreams are here to help us, to move us forward. So part of me knows that, but when there's confusion, it's hard to maybe fully embrace that. So talking about it with the three of you has helped me to believe that, yeah, the dream is bringing positive energy with it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was certainly a fun dream to dive into. And for more dream diving, Billie, why don't you tell us about wakeuptoyourdreams.com? What do you have cooking?
Well, I'm just in the middle of a training session, and I'll be starting up another one later this year. So Rocky Mountain Institute for Projective Dreamwork is always there. Check it out. I'm also going to be partnering with Odessa Wellness, and I'll be one of their visiting teachers, on-demand teachers is what they call it. So go to Odessa, ODOSA wellness.com, and I'll be their visiting teacher. I'm also giving well, I don't know when this will air, but just check out my website and you can get more information about that. And I always have two groups that run all the time. There's an afternoon group and there's an evening group. And I have a retreat that's coming up in May. So check it out. Go to wakeuptoyourdreams.com. Lots of things are happening.
Busy, busy, busy. Exciting stuff. Very good. And Dr. Royce Fitz, tell us what's going on at roycefitz.com.
Well, several things. One is I want to emphasize that if you go to my website, roycefitz.com, you can sign up for a free 30-minute spiritual counseling and/or dream conversation. And I would value that very much if you were willing and able to do that. Also, on my website, I have the introduction for my new book that's coming out later this spring. The book is called The Geography of the Soul, Dreams, Reality, and the Journey of a Lifetime. And on the website, as I said, you can sign up to get the free introduction for that. And I believe in the introduction, I think it is in the introduction that I talk about the Ruach of God,
really?
The wind of God, the breath of God, as God breathes life into the world, and as we carry that breath also. So that was a fun association that Sharyn gave me. And anyway, I'm very excited about the book coming out, and in the next, I suppose, mid-spring or so, you'll be seeing it in places that sell books.
All right.
Wonderful. We're all very anxiously awaiting the release of your book, Royce.
Yay!
It's very exciting. Yes. Well, and I am Viviana. I can be reached at viviana.org/magic.
I gotta look at that.
For all the magical parts of me. I'm a musician. I speak the universal language of music and dreams. Well, once again, Sharyn, we want to thank you for calling in to our Dreamer hotline. And for anyone out there who would like to share their dream, the number is 720-573-9195. Again, 720-573-9195. Tune into your dreams, write them down, and call them in. We are the Healing Dreams Project podcast. And if you liked this episode, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, follow Royce on TikTok. We also have an Instagram channel. We are on iHeartRadio, Pandora. Visit us on YouTube. Sharing the language of stories, symbols, metaphors, and archetypes.
All right.
Until next time, happy dreaming,
Ready?
everybody.